Okay, so this is one of 3 air dom matches that we played as a squadron about 2 days ago, as of the time of this recording. And what you're about to see here is the start of something very, very amazing, right? The magic really does begin here, because what you're going to see here is air-to-air combat tactics and teamwork that my squadron cabs hasn't seen since about, I'd say, 2 years ago, where I played a match with the squadron commander Rock in an air dom, and we were behind about 500 tickets, so we were behind 10 kills. But the game had gone on for like 10 minutes. So there were only a handful of aircraft left on each side, and we managed to make a comeback in that game. Now, in that game, I hadn't explained to Rock about how the engagement should go like, but I just gave him 1 or 2 tips here as to how we wanted to run the play, and I just acted as the bait. So we did the good old bait and switch in the vertical, and he got like 20, 25 kills that game in the comeback. So here, what's going to happen is that's going to happen, but everyone here, for the most part, understands what the playbook is. And you're going to see this happen in the next 2 games that I'm going to upload. They're all air doms, they were all played in the same night. And the principles that you see in the other 2 videos are the principles that I'm about to explain in this one here. I hadn't started recording that night for this match, which is why I'm doing the replay. But in hindsight, I guess that was a good thing, because it's forced me to commentate, to explain what goes on. The next 2 videos are just in-game gameplay, no commentary, just the in-game comms as it happened in real time. But if anybody wants me to explain the next 2 videos, you can just comment below, and I'll make another video on that match, whichever one, or maybe both if you want, to explain what goes on in the engagements as we play them out. So what's happened here is that we've gotten into an up tier, right? So there are a couple of 4.0 aircraft. And just as the game was starting, Osprey was talking about the BV-155 here, which is a new aircraft that got added recently. And he was explaining his experiences with it. So it's a high-altitude interceptor, and supposedly it performs very well in high altitude. Now, the only information that I know going into this game at the time of this game as we played it out, all I know is that it is a very good boom and zoomer. However, in the Air Realistic forums, what everyone has said is that it can't climb. It has very poor climb characteristics. But this is an arcade game, so as Osprey was explaining, I didn't say anything, and I was just absorbing all the information. So I'm keeping my eye out here, and both of us we're gunning for this guy first, right? Because he's the unknown variable in this entire engagement, for me at least. And Osprey is also coming in and helping us out because he knows that the rest of us, specifically me, haven't faced this aircraft before. And if it's a high altitude interceptor that can boom and zoom well, he is a big threat. So we're gunning for this guy first. So as we get to this part in the engagement where we've paused, we've spotted the entire enemy team. We've identified that this guy here, we're gunning for him. Now, I'm not too sure whether he's squatted up with this P-63, but both of them, as you see, as this plays out, they side climb, all right? And the way you want to approach an air dom, especially if you're playing against randoms and you don't know who the enemy are, if you don't recognize any names or any of the players, the people that show inclination that they've spent some time and effort into thinking how they want to run the game. For example, here, side climbing to the left to gain altitude, to then start dictating the engagement from the vertical. These guys are immediately the threat, because unlike everybody else that ever plays this game, it means that they have spent some time and effort into trying to figure out how to win the game. So they need to go down first. In the meantime, however, we catch a straggler here that tries to be a hero. There's a A-35 just below. Osprey just shot him down, this black smoke here. Yeah, he tried to come up and chase me up, so I set Osprey up for the vertical here, bait and switch. I just go straight vertical and Osprey gets an easy kill, knocks him out. So that's the first kill there. But now our attention is focused on these 2 guys here. Alright, we're gonna eliminate them, and once they're dead, we control the altitude and the airspace above the engagement zone. So we turn in here. Our third wingman down low, Tabars, he tried to follow us up, but he found that in the 110, I suppose that he was a little bit out of position. So he doesn't come up here to help us. Instead, he goes into the furball and starts getting kills. He gets 4 kills for his 1-110, which is very, very respectable trade. Alright, because remember, in an air dom, you've got the bleed tickets, alright? It's one of the 2 ways that you can fundamentally win the game. I'll talk about the second way in another video because it's a little bit more advanced and abstract. But you got to bleed tickets, you have to kill aircraft. So Osprey here, he goes into the head-on and baits him. He doesn't commit all the way in, and then now he's turning off away, disengaging. He's setting me up for the attack. The problem here is that we're too far apart for me to immediately engage, which is, in the perfect world, if we ran it like textbook out of the diagrams, spaghetti diagrams of dogfights, I should be immediately behind him right now, but that's not the case here. Partly because when we engaged that A-35 that came up, I extended way too high. It was necessary because he was about to get guns on me, but in running the engagement here, I can't catch up to Osprey, and Osprey hasn't waited for me to come back close into the so-called formation. If anybody here has watched my air combat tactics video, I go in depth into like how you want to run the distance between friendly aircraft to provide mutual support. So he's extended way out here. Now what happens here is that he actually has enough energy to extend away. Now he makes a mistake here. Even though the 155 has got range on him and is shooting, these are pretty inaccurate shots. And if Osprey just continued to go up into the vertical, make a little bit of evasive maneuvers, jinking here or there, going defensive, I'm very, very confident that he would have been able to get away from him. But what happens here is that Osprey, he finds the 63 here, the second guy of these 2 that we wanted to kill, and he decides to go after him. Which means that he's going to turn and dive as well, which is going to give a firing solution to this 155 here. Now, I'm trying my very best to gun the engine to get here before he nails Osprey, but the 155, he manages to get Osprey. Pretty good deflection shot, and I killed him just as he gets the kill on Osprey. So it's a trade here of 1-to-1, which we could have been avoided, but you can't have everything. But the important thing is that we've eliminated what we considered to be the biggest threat, and the second element of the threat that climbed up, he's now been forced down into the furball. So we have complete control, air superiority in terms of altitude of the entire engagement zone. So it's a win-win either way. But that play right there could have gone a little bit better, but as I said at the beginning of this video, this right here is the beginning of our squadron's kind of like teamwork and synergy and air-to-air combat stuff that hasn't been done before. Because we're about to replicate exactly what goes down in this match in the next 2 matches, and everybody's on the same page. So let me just run the video here. So Tabas has tried to climb up to help us out, but in the 110, the energy characteristics, they're okay if you start from altitude, but he didn't climb up as fast and as high as he should have if he wanted to help us out in the high altitude engagement. But as I said before, that's okay because he's going to go down the furball and start bleeding tickets, which is something that we need. So I make my way over to the enemy spawn. So what the objective here is not necessarily to like spawn camp per se. We're not doing it like the so-called professionals where they can gauge the distance as to the exact position of where the aircraft spawn at, what altitude, and then immediately kill them as they come into the game. What we're trying to do here is to deny the enemy entrance into the capture zone airspace here, right? So that means we're doing interception, interdiction tactics here. We're going into the middle between their spawn and the capture zone, and either try to force them down low below the capture zone or kill them. So I'm all alone for this part of the engagement, but Osprey, he's going to come back, and when he gets back, we're going to get about 16 kills between us for only 2 deaths, including Osprey's death just now against that 155. So yeah, we're about to seal the deal in the whole game right here as he comes back. So the 155 guy, he comes back looking for revenge in 109. And he goes up trying to chase me in the vertical, and he pays for it. Actually, no, the 96 comes in and takes that kill, but doesn't matter. He was dead either way. So as you can see here, I'm trying my very best not to make any like very sudden, drastic, jarring, evasive maneuvers. Most of the maneuvers are very smooth. I take my time in turning. There are no like snap rolls and whatnot. That's because we're trying to conserve as much speed and energy as possible. Every time you go into the engagement zone, you need enough energy to get out. Alright, you don't want to commit into a turning dogfight. Because I'm right next to the spawn. They're coming in large numbers. If I commit all my energy to one dude, the next 5 that spawn in behind me, they're gonna get me. So I pick out the guys that are still coming up. He really wants me dead, and not going too well for him. Friendly Yak 9 knocks him out. That was a strike aircraft or a light bomber. He gets because in ARK matches, the spawn heights for the different classes of aircraft, they're different. And so he got a higher air spawn, but it didn't help him out much because he's dead. So I missed that 63 when I went for that F2A, but as you can see here, it didn't help him out much. And here comes the man, the myth, the legend, Osprey. He's finally here, and because I don't have the in-game recording of this, we're on comms right now, and from this point on, we don't stop talking. And that's a good thing, not in like the bad sense, because we're constantly communicating here, and we're picking out and identifying targets, which since we're engaging a lot more enemy aircraft than there are friendly aircraft, this is very important because, as I've said in my dogfighting video and the air combat tactics video, situational awareness is very important. And when you have 2 guys working together, 2 people with 2 pairs of eyes, they can identify and track far more threats than just an individual, right? And in here, this case, we're going fully offensive here. Everything here is completely offensive. We're here to kill people, make sure they don't get into the capture zone. And we can identify threats and targets very fast, very quickly. And we're about to just go in and mop up the game. At this point, since they've given us the altitude advantage and they haven't taken any drastic measures to try to dislodge us from this position, the game's over. So I bait the F2A up there. I took the head on and went up. Osprey is in the immediate position to capitalize on it, and he goes down. Now that I know that Osprey is here, I'm going even more aggressive than I usually would, because usually you wouldn't want to go this low down here, because I'm right above the spawn point now. That's not usually how you want to run it, because now they have a chance as they spawn in. They have initial speed. They can come up vertical and they have a chance of catching you. So I'm extending away. Usually what happens here is that I don't immediately go down. If they want to run and save their lives, they go ahead and do it. If you come up towards us though, right, you're looking for the fight, then your life is forfeit at this point, because we gave you the chance to run. If you don't want to take it, then you're gone. So I take a slightly poor head on there. I lose an engine and catch fire. I believe I do go down here, but at this point in time, Osprey's got 7 kills. I've got 9, and he's only died once. I'm about to die here once. And as you can see here, in terms of tickets, we have bled the enemy dry. All right, and we've also had the superior position over the capture zone. So it's game over. No chance. Complete domination. And I do believe that's pretty much the end of the game. I respawn in here, try to get back into re-engaging, but there's no coming back from this, and we're already starting to cap here. And yeah, that's pretty much the game right there. Yep. So yeah, any questions? Anybody wants me to explain certain things that they didn't understand, just comment below, and I'll try get around to addressing it. So yeah, thanks for watching.